I think that I said in the talk, that we're in the earliest stages of healing from a very early trauma, whether you believe that that trauma was just a matter of earth cataclysms or something else, alien visitation or what have you. The fact is, trauma occurred, and it occurred a blink of the eye ago. Out of that tragedy came the sorcery that, like Professor C.S. Lewis said, the dark wing has gone so far east that it has become west, so far west that it has become east. Does that mean everything is hopeless? No, because it's early days. We're actually, whether we know it or not, in the healing process, and it takes time. Part of that healing is to know that enemy and what weapons that enemy is using. Part of that solution is not to further, like we were talking outside, like Tex is saying, the conversations we have with people that you come here is one of the most inspiring things in my life. Because I'm a goddamn hermit. I don't even go out. Shopping is a hassle. It's just study, study, study. So when we come out and we talk, and it's really good to change the energy and to hear what you're all saying, and the feedback is very important. And outside, talking with a couple, and we're talking about we have to watch out for strangling ourselves in our attempts to be free of their web. Like a fly. If you approach this from panic, if you approach it from fear, if you approach it from unhealthy forms of anger, or any of these other dysfunctional ways, you will end up becoming like a strangled fly in your very attempts to free yourself, because they already know that man's inherent atomistic desire is freedom. Right? It's not negotiable. It's in every single person. It's like I talked about earlier, it's even in the anatomy of the thing we call the ego. In the absolute dictionary definition of the ego, it means that part of us that differentiates itself from all forms of collectivism and mind control, right? They know that, so they've designed the web to be so intricate so that even in your attempts to free yourself, you enslave yourself. Therefore, attitude now comes in as the salvation, because you have, like Tex was saying, you have to be focused on truth. You have to be very still. How many people have seen the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? We're in movie mode, right? My talk was about me. Watch the end scene when the anti-hero is perched on that cross, and he knows that his only chance of being set free is to be absolutely still. If you're having surgery, you can't be jiggling around on the table while the knife is going in. You have to be absolutely still. And all the stimuli of the world is to make sure that you can't do that. It's to delay the healing process. But what is happening now, I believe, is that there's a sea change, and the scalpel of cleansing is here. The surgery is taking place. But that means that attitudinally and spiritually, you have to be absolutely still, right? Like a martial artist, completely yin. And only then do you hear that still small voice that gives you, not the mass, not the we, not the us, not the our, but your individual guidance is within you. And we are in an age of awakening, and there are no shortcuts. And you have to have absolute 100% conviction that evil has within it the seeds of its own destruction. It is unsustainable. And it is now ready to pop. And they are in deadly fear of us. Most people don't understand this. You have no reason to be in trepidation, angst, or fear, because they are the ones in fear. They are the psychopaths, and you're living in their forensic filth. They are the ones in fear. And if you imbibe or you get virally contaminated by their thinking, if you identify with the objects of your hate, if you identify with their way of thinking, then you fall to a lower place, and you start thinking as they do, and you're infected by their psychopathy. So and there's no A to Z. Each of you must find the way to sustain that cleansing. Dance, music, yoga, music, sound, learning, teaching, intellectual, whatever it might be, travel, art, painting. Each one discover their own bliss, as Joseph Campbell used to say. Come to the still point, said T.S. Eliot. There the dance is. In that place, you will find your connection, and that's where the magic will take place. Not given to their whole leviathan of fear mechanisms and trepidation. Step aside from that, find your sovereignty, because if you don't have the psychic and spiritual sovereignty, politicians can be running around like the Keystone Cops with this plan and that plan, and you're never going to see a sovereign world. Sovereignty starts within. It starts in your psyche, in your emotions, in your spirit, and in your attachment to truth. That's where it starts and ends.